Welcome to Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church via Zoom. If you haven't already done so, please turn off your video and mute your audio. This will improve the bandwidth and we hope the sound quality of what we're recording and what you're hearing now. Just before our final prayers, as we did last week, we'll invite you to unblock everything so we can see and hear each other and chat for a few minutes. And just as an FYI, I may disappear for a while. If I do, Lynn will take over. And Lynn, would you give us our invocation prayer, please?
Sure, let's just set an intention together this morning. Just deep breath, everyone. Divine Spirit, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, we now sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. And in pardoning, we are pardoned. And in dying, we are born to eternal life. Amen.
And I will now read our statement of intent. We continue to be fortunate to have a variety of speakers for Sunday services. By using guest speakers, we gain wisdom from all those who share. This is a church community where we can worship the God of our own understanding, to experience joy and be uplifted, to gain strength and inspiration that we can share with others throughout the week. We invite you to join us in this celebration of life, to nourish your spirit and to enjoy the community of kindred souls. And now we have announcements. Lynn, would you like to tell us about your class that we're doing?
Sure. For any of you who haven't met me before, I'm Lynn Woodland, and my 40-odd career has been in the study and practice of what gives rise to miracles. I've written a couple of books about miracles, and the class that Carol has mentioned is called the Miracles Course. It's a class I've taught for 15 years now, and this year I decided to repurpose it as a fundraiser for a few nonprofits, that are obviously going through a little bit of a hard time in this COVID experience. So anything that gets donated to this class goes right to the nonprofits. And LSICC is one of them. And we meet every Wednesday night via Zoom. It essentially is a class in practical miracle making. And you can drop in once or come every week. They do build one upon another, but each one is a complete experience. In fact, I did want to just say a word to all of you who were at the last class, just because we did focus in on doing some healing work on behalf of our political leaders, in particular the president, touching into really the most tender part of those people to just heal wherever the original wound was as children. And we also did a lot of work with raising the vibration of the White House, and boom, next day, President and all these people in the White House come down with COVID-19. And I just want to say, when we get this kind of instant demonstration, it's really important not to let our ego get carried away with it. It's important as practitioners not to go into, oh no, did I do that? Or, oh wow, did I do that? Let all that go, let agenda go, let intention for outcome go, and just keep raising vibration. So I felt like I needed to say that to anyone who was there, because I know some of you were. Just keep it going, because obviously something is happening. But this is the kind of work we do every week in class, often on behalf of ourselves, every once in a while on behalf of the world. So please join Wednesday. It's always something different.
Thank you. Just a reminder to anyone who has prayer requests, if you'll email them to me or call me if you like, It's a landline, so if you have a directory, you can find me there. Emails have gone out and letters have gone out by US mail to our voting members from last year. We're in the process of choosing a new, almost all new board, with the exception of Andrew Majeski, who will continue as treasurer. And we need we don't have enough candidates. We need to have a candidate, at least one, for each office and for trustee. And right now, we don't have anyone who seems to be interested in being our vice president. It's an important job. So if you feel at all called to that, I hope you will let me know. Also, it would be lovely to have more candidates than we have openings. We haven't had that happen very often the last few years, but it used to be the norm. There could be twice as many candidates as openings or more. And to me, that's a sign that we have a healthy community whose members are engaged in sustaining and growing what we already have. So I hope you want to do that, because there's room for more of that. Thanks to our tech team for the Zoom support, David Fritz, Steve Plaza, and Andrew Majeski, who's hosting today, along with Lynn's husband, Bill Baker, who is co-hosting with him. And thank you, Bill. And thank you, Lynn, for being our speaker today and sharing all of this with us. Just a reminder, for any updates, watch our website, Facebook, and emails. Okay, I'm going to read our principles and just remind those who may not know this. While we may individually find some of these principles to differ from our personal understanding, we gratefully embrace them as a community. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are an expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We believe in our universal connection in spirit and that there is communication between the spiritual and physical worlds. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the golden rule. Whatsoever you would that others should do unto you, do you also unto them. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes contained in all sacred texts. And now I'm going to turn things over to Lynn for the healing meditation and her talk.
Thanks, Carol. I'm actually going to change up the order a little bit. We will do a healing meditation and a lecture, and I have a reading. I'm going to start with the reading. We're going to end with the meditation. And I think as we go along, you'll understand why. The quote is actually by Buckminster Fuller from his book, The Critical Path. Whether it is to be utopia or oblivion will be a touch and go relay race right up to the final moment. Humanity is in final exam as to whether or not it qualifies for continuance in the universe. What I want to talk about today, and actually do some spiritual work with you all around, has to do with manifesting a breakthrough in seeming times of breakdown. You know, we're in such extreme times. We're seeing crises and extremes these days on just about every front. And, you know, my teachings for years have been talking about how all of this is the result of a massive evolutionary shift that humanity is in the midst of. And we're seeing many, many things break down because they're simply not in alignment with unity consciousness. And these breakdowns are coexisting in sharp contrast with some real quantum leaps into a new evolutionary phase and into demonstrations of that evolutionary phase. You know, it's so easy to get cynical and see only the crises of our world. I mean, I could go on and on all day. The environment, the pandemic, there's our broken political system, and on and on and on and on and on. But at the same time, we're seeing things come together as never before. We've just seen huge movements of people in recent years. I mean, look at the huge movements of people in recent months, just standing up, demanding justice and equality for all. We're also seeing new kinds of economies emerge. I mean, there's even new words emerging. Circular economy, sharing economy, collaborative consumption, open sourcing. These are just a few terms that have entered our vocabulary since the turn of the 21st century. And they all are new forms of sharing resources. They operate in a very peer-to-peer egalitarian way enabled by the internet. They minimize inequities in power and resources. At the same time, they empower individuals. Very new and different. In fact, the very well-known futurist, an economist and author by the name of Jeremy Rifkin. Look him up if you've never heard of him. He's a very interesting guy, Jeremy Rifkin. One of his books, The Zero Marginal Cost Society, talks about how, because of the connectivity of the internet and the rapid evolution of 3D printing, he foresees an era where goods and services become nearly free. And capitalism, as well as the scarcity and greed that accompany it, become virtually obsolete. And he does have the caveat, you know, climate change could, change everything, could just wipe us out. And he's not the only one. I actually have had the good fortune over the last year or two to lend my service to a company that's coming out with a new form of technology that I don't think even Rifkin has foreseen, but it's a form of artificial general intelligence that will someday be capable of taking over any job humans don't want to do. If you're interested in that, email me, I'll just send you some information about this. But the creator of this technology also foresees a time when goods become nearly or completely free, and human beings become free to discover and pursue their highest purpose. We're not going to be a species about surviving anymore. We will potentially be one that's about thriving. This is the possibility. So the idea that humanity is in the midst of a great evolutionary leap, it's not just coming from, the woo-woo fringe edges of thinking. It's really right here in front of our faces. And at the same time, we're at such a critical crossroads. We really, truly have reached the point of breakdown or breakthrough, where nothing less extreme is an option. And this is the kind of work we do in Wednesday class. The breakdown or breakthrough point is where things take a radical turn for the better, because we choose to align ourselves with love instead of fear, or they crumble because we fearfully try to hold on to what has been, which in these times really is not an option anymore. We choose the path of breakthrough by taking bold action in the direction of what we know is right, even when it takes us out of our comfort zone. And we attend to what we know is important without putting it off any longer. And we listen to inner guidance, and we believe what we know in our heart, even if we don't quite have that physical evidence yet of a predictable outcome. Now, alternately, if we let fear and apathy and ambivalence and procrastination and denial and all kinds of unconsciousness determine our choices or our lack of them, that's when we see circumstances take a turn for the worse, be it on an individual personal level or on a collective level. Change will come, and it will come either swiftly as this great leap into higher levels of thriving, or it's going to come more painfully through those crises that very forcibly clear away the old. And this is true on a personal level, and it's true at the collective level. And consequently, it's more important than ever to choose which stream we're going to align ourselves with, be it the last wave of separateness and fear and limitation, or the new stream of unity and egalitarian well-being. If we're not clearly aligning ourselves with the new paradigm of our times, we are going to find ourselves getting bogged down in all this falling away. Now, the good news is that we each get to choose, which way we go. In these times, we can grab the opportunities to leap forward, or we can, wait until change forces us to move. Which I once had a friend who actually seemed like a master of letting go. She died of a very debilitating chronic illness, and we just looked at her as our teacher for letting go. And we said, Cheryl, how do you do it? What do you do? And she said, well, I hold on for as long as I can. When I can't hold on any longer, I let go. And that's so often how we deal in life. It's so human, such a human part of us. And these times are really calling us to just step out into the unknown, to really step out and follow our heart, follow our highest guidance and highest self, even if we don't have to yet, if it seems like we don't have to. And a big part of seizing the breakthroughs available to us really requires us to step up into leadership, but in a new style of leadership, not the old hierarchical, follow me and do what I say mode of leadership. New leadership operates in accordance with the new rules of quantum physics, and it's fractal rather than hierarchical. Because part of the shift that's happening is that we're moving into a new worldview. We're leaving the Newtonian perception of reality that sees the universe as mechanical and predictable and made up of individual pieces that can be separated out from one another and acted upon without that affecting all the rest. Quantum physics has shown us that this isn't the truth at all, that the universe really is more of an invisible energy soup with every part affecting every other part. And consciousness can just ripple through that soup like crazy. Now, in old style hierarchical leadership, one leads through one's commands, right? Do what I say. But in a more fractal model where every bit of the whole reflects all of the whole, it really is most potent to lead with one's being in a conscious and intentional way. But anytime a part of the whole changes, it can't help but affect the rest. And accordingly, as any one of us changes, we do affect everything and everyone. For a really interesting read on some of this, well, my two books, I always recommend Holding a Butterfly and The Breakthrough Point. But Lynn Taggart, if you want to understand the science of consciousness, she's a great one. She's a science writer. Her book, The Intention Experiment, is a great one on a very readable book about the science of consciousness and how powerful it is. When any one of us undertakes the powerful work of self-transformation, and we do it with a true awareness of our oneness and with the conscious intention to raise others up with us, we become true leaders in this new style of leadership. Our consciousness, our intention, our courage really does ripple out into the whole. We become an oscillator that sets the rhythm for all the rest. And what's more, we break through to a place of personal thriving, because to thrive in these times require that we bring to life an agenda larger than simply getting what we want and taking care of ourselves. So some of the elements of this new style of leadership includes the vision to see the big picture beyond the breakdown of the moment. Also, the willingness to step back from personal hurts, from triggers, from the need to be right, that's a biggie, in order to see the highest good. It includes the courage to take personal responsibility, to let go of victim consciousness, and to recognize that no one and nothing outside of ourselves is responsible for our experience. It includes the willingness to let go of the familiar and trust inner guidance at least as much as linear analytical thinking. And leading through the example of one's presence and authenticity and personal responsibility and courage. In other words, be touched by what I do and who I am, as opposed to do or believe as I command. Another important aspect of new leadership is not trying to do it alone, because these times are all about the power of us all together. New leadership means allowing help and allowing and supporting everyone to be a leader. You know, we were just chatting a little bit, Carol and I, about just how Zoom and the pandemic is changing everything. And I think in some ways, as we get used to connecting in this way, it's like the crisis at hand is teaching us that connecting in our mind, connecting in consciousness, connecting out, you know, beyond space, is one of our most potent tools. So the exercise that I want to share with you here is an opportunity to step into new leadership. And in keeping with a quantum paradigm, it's inherently nonlinear and non-hierarchical. What it involves is listening to your inner guidance, and if so guided, stepping out in faith, even when the whole path isn't visible and doesn't guarantee a controllable or even comfortable outcome. So in other words, this exercise is going to be a little microcosm of real life. The exercise is going to ask you to commit to an act of leadership, if you feel so guided, without first knowing what the act is, without knowing what the exercise is, simply by trusting your inner guidance, you know, to see if you get a yes or a no. Is this right for me, or is this not right for me? And as powerful, you know, as powerful as this kind of leap of faith is, when the time is right to take that leap, nudged by your inner guidance, it really is something that can't be forced. It can only be inspired. So what that means is that only you know that you're ready or not for this step. And it's important that you accept this exercise only if you're truly guided from within, rather than from any kind of external pressure here. And accepting the call to lead, it's a step into the unknown. And when we truly follow this call, we find ourselves following Spirit's plan for us rather than our own personal agendas. And that path may well feel uncertain and out of our comfort zone, even though it ultimately takes us further than our smaller agendas ever could. And as uncertain and risky as it may seem, paradoxically, this type of path has a way of requiring less effort, less pain, less struggle. It has a way of being a shortcut into thriving. So with that little introduction, here we go with our meditation. We're going to have a breakthrough here. And I want to invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Just relax. Just close your eyes and quiet your thoughts with some deep, full breaths. And just ask yourself, just let your attention turn inward and do some reflecting. And ask yourself, where in your life would you most like to experience a breakthrough? In your own personal life, it might be an area of breakdown in your life that you would like to see turn in a positive direction, something that you would like to see healed or obstacle out of the way, or something shift or something clarified. What is that for you? What feels most important right now as your personal breakthrough? It might be some way that you're just ready to experience a quantum leap into a new level of success and fulfillment and well-being. Might even be something that feels impossible or far out of reach. Now, in a little bit, well, first off, just hold this intention. Just hold it lightly. Imagine just holding it even outside of your body. I always suggest holding it at chest level, in much the same way you might hold a little butterfly that just lit in your hand, sitting in your garden. Hold it that lightly. Because once we've formed an intention that way, we've already started energy moving in the direction of our intent. And just let the butterfly fly now, because we're going to shift focus a bit. Because in just a bit, you'll let your inner guidance direct you to the right path for you around whether it's right for you to accept the opportunity in this exercise to be a leader. And this is not a one-size-fits-all exercise, and it's absolutely about listening to your guidance around whether it's right for you. And recognize that your inner guidance is purely benevolent. It leads you only in the direction of your best interest. It isn't punishing. It has no agenda to push you beyond your limits and into harm. It simply sees the bigger picture of what's best for you in ways that your conscious mind can't always see. So take a moment to make friends with this wise and loving place in yourself, and really feel that it's trustworthy. And if you don't believe you have this source of inner counsel, just imagine what it would feel like if you did. And just say hello. Say hello to your inner guide, your inner counsel. It's your friend. And should you be called to lead here, it means accepting an assignment before knowing what the assignment is. It means accepting an assignment on behalf of all of us, really. And the exercise is structured this way because this is how life is. Inner guidance will often urge us toward a step into the unknown without showing us the next 5 steps beyond, or even the next 1 step. And yet when the urge is coming from within and not from external pressure, it's sure to lead us where we need to go. So to start feeling out your readiness, ask yourself if having a breakthrough in your life that would open up a whole new experience of well-being and fulfillment for you, if it meant accepting in total faith and trust the action step Spirit puts before you, would you do it without even knowing exactly what that step would look like? Would you do it? If it meant stepping out of comfortable familiarity to do something challenging or unfamiliar, would you do it? If it meant loosening your personal control enough to allow the hand of Spirit to lead the way, would you do it? And understand, breaking through into a new paradigm of well-being is never guaranteed to be a predictable journey. It's not a controllable journey. Sometimes the joy we've never known can be way more frightening than the struggle and limitation that's familiar. It can definitely bring up fear. The bliss we've never known can terrify us when we're really looking it in the face. The highest good that God has for us, those places our heart most longs to go, maybe our mind has never even figured out how to name, they may bear no resemblance to the limited agendas that come from the level of personality, agendas we've grown attached to over the years, maybe because we've just stopped believing that anything better exists. So if you choose to answer this call to leadership, just get ready for an exciting ride that may unfold in different ways than you expect and more quickly than you expect. Now, if you don't feel ready for this level of unfolding, it's important to acknowledge and honor that. As important as it is to honor the call to lead and not let fear hold you back, if you're pushing yourself to step up simply because you feel you should, maybe because you hold yourself up to harsh expectations of perfection, then you too may still be acting from old patterns of limitation rather than genuinely moving forward into your breakthrough. Sometimes standing at a threshold, taking stock and simply loving yourself and accepting yourself exactly as you are is the right place to be, in full consciousness, without a speck of denial. And whichever path you choose authentically from within is the path of greatest growth for you. What's important is if you get the call to leadership, that you commit yourself to it wholeheartedly, that you act upon it, even if it takes you into uncharted territory. So listen now to where the breakthrough lies for you. Let your inner guide help you with this now. And if you are feeling called to take that bold step here into the unknown of new leadership, without quite knowing what's to come, just trusting your inner guidance that it won't steer you wrong. Keeping your eyes closed, just hold up your hand or even just your finger, hold up a body part right now. This is so your body deeply feels your choice. It's important. Hold up a finger, hold up your hand, hold up your arm. Tell your body you mean it. And now with your eyes still closed, pick a number from 1 to 12. Just one number. And when you have it, you can do this quickly, you can't choose wrong. When you have it, write in the air with your finger, write that number with your finger in the air so your body clearly knows your choice. Make sure you do that last part. Everybody, whether you stepped into a leadership place or not, everybody, pick your number, write it in the air so you can't fudge it in your mind, so your body knows it. And then take some deep breaths and gently just bring yourself back. Now, what did we just do, you might ask? The exercise works on a synchronicity principle. And through synchronicity and inner guidance, you've just received a message. Now, synchronicity is the law of meaningful coincidence, where events that have no clear cause and effect relationship can nevertheless, coincidentally, have a profoundly meaningful connection. If you've ever just played with any kind of deck, you know, they're so popular these days, little angel card deck, little tarot card deck, little inner child card deck, you know, so many decks out there. They all work on synchronicity. And this principle is very in keeping with the new rules of quantum worldview, even though it doesn't seem to make sense from the older Newtonian paradigm. Now, the purpose of this message that you have already received, because you picked that number, your body knows what it is. You can't fudge yourself around with it now. It's to show you an aspect of new paradigm empowerment that is most related to you having a breakthrough. So this message is what you most need to embrace and enact and take to heart in order to manifest your personal breakthrough. It's how you need to step up in some way right now to manifest your personal highest good. It might be something you've been resisting because it's outside of your comfort zone. It might be just what you've been working on because you've somehow known it's really important to you. Now, all of you who did in that meditation feel called to be leaders, you have a special assignment. Your assignment is to take your message, and you'll get your message in a minute. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're not going to make up your own message. No, you're going to get your message just a second. Your assignment is to take your message and spend the next week not just thinking about it, but really embracing it, challenging yourself to find ways to act on it. And as you do, holding all the rest of us here today in your consciousness. Imagine that as you do your leadership challenge, you are raising the vibration of your whole spiritual community. Think about that you are doing this on behalf of your whole spiritual community, that you become the oscillator, that as you vibrate at the highest degree, the highest vibration of this particular challenge, you are taking your whole community there. So you are growing yourself, but you're offering up your own growth and healing to help all of us do the same. So I'm going to read through the 12 missions. There's 12 messages for 12 numbers. And when you hear your number, listen very closely. When I'm finished all of them, Bill is going to put them up on the screen so you can review them again, maybe even jot them down. But here they are. If you pick number 1, your message is to make time and space to hear your inner guidance. It's been speaking to you. Have you been listening? Number 2 is break through the resistance of inertia, apathy, ambivalence, avoidance, unconsciousness, and fear to do what your heart knows is right. Number 3, accept help when it's offered. Reach out for help when it's needed. Recognize that going alone it no longer works. Number 4, let others see your vulnerability and imperfections. Let your mask down. Recognize that sometimes it's okay to be messy. Number 5, speak your truth, even when doing so is out of your comfort zone. It's time for you to be heard. Number 6, find new and more ways to express your creativity. Recognize that your creative imagination is capable of making the world a better place. Number 7, let go of your excuses for why you can't, why it's impossible, why it's not your fault, or why something else is responsible for your experience. Recognize everything in your world as being a reflection of your own consciousness, and therefore within your power to change. Number 8, lead by the example of your being rather than by your directions. Be inspired by who I am rather than by what I tell you to do. Number 9, let go of fear-based control that seeks safety through managing details. Relax, breathe, and know that you are safe in the process of life. Number 10, Make the important decisions that will affect the rest of your life. Let go of procrastination, inertia, or choosing by not choosing at all. Number 11, be willing to step out into the unknown when inner guidance urges you, even if you can only see the next immediate step and don't know where the path is taking you. Number 12, be willing to let go of certainties, defensiveness, judgments, and self-righteousness to allow a bigger picture to emerge, one that recognizes connections rather than differences. Now, all of you picked a number, even if you weren't guided to be leaders in the meditation. So all of you have some higher guidance to take with you, whether it is your personal work or work that you are doing with the consciousness of all of us. Now, if any of you who weren't guided to accept the leadership exercise, if you're starting to think, well, geez, I'd like to do that now that I know what it is. Well, no, this isn't a suggestion for a do-over. And that's because we rarely get that choice in life to do over the opportunities we let slip by. If you are feeling like, oh, I could do that, then it's very important to pay attention to opportunities when they first show up for you, when they first show up, and to not let them go by until, oh, I really could have done that. I would have liked to have done that. But this is an opportunity to transform your choice into your own breakthrough by accepting a different assignment this week. And listen within, are you getting a yes? Let your inner guidance tell you. Don't force it. Are you getting a yes? Okay, if you're getting a yes, your assignment is to spend the week shining your love and gratitude to those who are clearly guided to lead. In fact, imagine yourself as a miracle maker. Imagine that your love is so powerful, it can change someone's life for the better. You don't need to believe this about yourself. Just imagine how it would feel if you did and act as if. If you do this with as much wholehearted sincerity as you can, it will give those who chose to lead a lot of support to fulfill their assignment in a way that really does benefit all of us. And again, you don't need to believe this, just imagine. And I do want to say, especially for those of you who are present in our class on Wednesday, we all, not all of us, but a lot of us actually just shined loving intention to our president, who we don't always experience love from, right? We don't always experience love. And we may have done it thinking, well, this is just a little exercise. We're not really doing anything. This is just, we're just doing an exercise, spiritual exercise. We don't expect to see it. Look at what happened this week. One of the things that news commentators were focusing on for a brief moment was a tweet that came to Donald Trump that was all love. And they were saying, this is so different. We never see tweets like this from Donald Trump. It even ended with love in capital letters, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Now, we don't have to know what that's doing. All we need to know is that love always raises the vibration and makes things better. We don't have to know how. We don't have to understand how. So if you have ever doubted yourself as a miracle maker, know that this kind of work is incredibly powerful. And that's why I'm saying, imagine that you are now raising the vibration of your spiritual community. And take a moment with that. I want to open it up and let you all share in a minute. But take a moment with that. I understand you all are going through some changes now with empty board seats and maybe looking at changing structure a bit, perhaps. Imagine that you are now shifting the very DNA of this community. You might even see it as internal DNA. You might see it as just a lot of particles that make up the solidness of this community, all spreading out and becoming just vibrating light and love. And then coming back together in a way that takes all of you up higher, that makes everything about this community a more divine expression of love and light and spirit. So take a minute with that, knowing how powerful this is, knowing that you're likely to see real results from this very quickly. Take a moment with this. And then just come back to normal waking consciousness. I want to just open it up for anyone who'd like to share what your experience was with this. And in particular, anyone who did feel called to lead, if you want to share. Oh, and Bill, you're going to put all 12 of those assignments up so that people can see them, and even jot them down if they want to. But I'd like to just open it up for anyone who might feel so inclined to share your experience. Maybe we can unmute people for that. Oh, come on, I know you're not shy. This is your community. These are your peeps. Come and share. Really, not a thing.
I'll say something quick.
Yeah, please do. I
So
think it helps to hear one another after doing something like that. So thank you.
Yeah, this is Andrew, by the way.
Yeah.
I guess I'll talk a little bit about leadership. And one of the things that I've come to view about it is that it's a responsibility and it's a burden too, but it's important for me, at least, to have that. I find that if I'm not a part of moving forward with stuff like that in my life, I just kind of feel like I'm not thriving as much, and it's something that benefits me more than it costs. I'll say that.
Thank you. Anyone else willing to share what number you got, what you get from it, anything at all? By the way, if you do want to come on Wednesday and you got this message, you don't know what it means, if you want to tune in early, as early as 6:30, I'm always there. I do mini readings for people, as many as I can till we start at 7. So, if you did get a number, message, and you're thinking, I'm not quite sure what to do with that, come talk with me. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, did anyone get a message that surprised you or felt right on?
I feel like, I'm Carol, I just picked number 1 because I do meditate, and I get messages when I tell myself to be quiet. And I just, even if I'm driving, I'll get a message. I'll get a reassurance, just a subtle feeling. I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't know what to say. I feel in the flow, and I feel I'm directed. I don't know what else to say. It just feels good. Mm-hmm. I'm in a place in my life where I've worked a long time for this as I get older and older. I have the confidence and I didn't used to have. And just over the last few years, especially the last year or so, I just feel really in the flow and I'm fine where I'm at and I feel good and directed. And yeah, I don't know what else. So just repeating myself.
Well, that really fits with, we were chatting a little bit earlier. It just sounded like you're talking about some of your inner guidance.
Yeah.
And I get that feeling for you too, that you're, if anything, maybe the world needs to hear more of your inner guidance.
That's fine. It's all good. Yeah,
This is the other Carol.
Yeah.
I'm going to read something that I have hanging on my kitchen wall that fits with all of this. I used to get daily messages of wisdom, affirmation, whatever. I don't remember what the chain was, but this one's been with me for 10 years. Be willing to go out on a limb with me. If that is where I am leading you, it is the safest place to be. Your desire to live a risk-free life is a form of unbelief. Your longing to live close to me is at odds with your attempts to minimize risk. You are approaching a crossroads in your journey. In order to follow me wholeheartedly, you must relinquish your tendency to play it safe. Let me lead you step by step through this day. If your primary focus is on me, you can walk along perilous paths without being afraid. Eventually, you will learn to relax and enjoy the adventure of our journey together. As long as you stay close to me, my sovereign presence protects you wherever you go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I need to remind myself.
Yeah.
Hi, I don't know
Yeah.
if you can hear me. This is Denise.
Hey, Denise.
And I'll just share. I picked number 8. And it was the one that was lead by the example of your being rather than by your directions. Be inspired by who I am rather than what I tell you to do. And I feel that is my comfort zone. As some people are aware, I don't like to be in a spotlight or in a role of quote unquote leadership. I'm rather just be myself and do things and be useful and purposeful and intentional in what I do. And I think that's more my leadership role than by, being bossy and telling people what to do. And so I think that fits me because I just try to be a good person and be kind, and that's it. That's how I lead.
And so what I'm just getting for you as a way that you might want to just really stretch it out is make yourself the person in charge of affirming, out loud, when you see somebody else powerfully demonstrating leadership in this way, through their being, like being the one that kind of raises people up into their own leadership by calling it out.
Okay.
That might be a way that you take it that you take what's already your gift into a new level of power.
Okay. I mean, yeah, and I can try that. Probably one of my faults is I don't know. And I'm also, you can maybe tell I can be kind of hard on myself. But I tend to see things, I'm getting better at it, but I will tend to see things that I think are wrong or aren't being done to the best or highest good. And, I will speak out about that more than I will speak out about well, this is really good. I try to balance it out, but I think since little on, if I see something that's an injustice or something that's wrong, that's what will trigger me to speak out, because usually I will hold back, but that triggers me. And I don't know if that's being negative, but I hope not.
Well, you know, I think what you said first is what it's about, that you tend to be hard on yourself. Because, you know, those things go hand in hand. If we're hard on ourselves, we're hard on, you know, the world out there, and vice versa. And so, of course, it starts with affirming yourself. Because I just get that you are tremendously powerful, and that you have the power to, I mean, that's why I said it. I just kind of, in my intuitive hit about you is that if somebody heard from you, that you called out some piece of them that is just golden, that it would mean a lot, that it would really strengthen that, you know, leadership quality in that person. And I think it would also, you know, you almost have to step into your own place of, I know I'm good enough in order to be the person that affirms what is really valuable about you. Just something to play with. Yeah. You know,
Okay. No, I hear you. Yeah,
yeah.
totally agree that. Yeah. Thank you.
Because I get like some really, you know, big powerhouse stuff about you. I don't know you, but that's just what I get.
Thank you.
So, and it looks like it is now time. I do want you to just give some, listen to your inner guidance when it comes to giving your offering today. Because I think it's important that we let that come from within too, that we don't bring it out from a place of, oh, I should give this much, or no, I can't give that much. But to let an amount come from that, you know, that bold stepping out place of inner guidance, where we demonstrate through our leadership that abundance is, you know, that we give in love, knowing that what we give in love always comes back to us as we give from a place of safety, knowing that the universe is abundant. We demonstrate that to other people and we allow it to come back to us. So do take a moment now, find that amount, and imagine in your mind, you know, first send it as consciousness, then send it through the interwebs. Just turn it into the vibration of love that is going to move through your community and raise your community up, that is going to be a demonstration to others of the value of this community, and is now going to come back to you bigger. And thank you, God, for this and more. Thank you, thank you. So there is a church affirmation. Carol, would you like me to do that, or would you like to do that? You are muted, my dear.
I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked stop video when I meant to click the unmute. We were going to have open up for everyone to see each other here for a few minutes and say hello. This is our social moments.
Oh, good. So shall I do a little blessing before we like chat?
Well, actually, you know, that
Or do that later? Okay.
do that
got it,
afterwards. We'll
got
do
it.
our little hello to everybody. Then we'll do our church affirmation and your blessing.
Okay.
Okay. So hi, everybody.
Hi.
Any more beautiful faces to be seen?
Do we have some more behind the view of Lynn here?
I think that there were only 8 when I looked at participants, and a couple of them were double because I think Lynn is on twice. So I think
Oh yeah, one of those is
I think
Bill.
we're all here, but Louise is not showing.
And Jean and Jerry were here, and Sue Brewer was here.
And Janet was here, and I think that
Right.
might have been, yeah. And there was a Janet also. There was
Right.
12, but I think that they popped out for some reason.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And What a beautiful message.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the message and the meditation, both, Lynn.
Lovely to be with you.
I'm going to ask everyone to mute yourself for a moment so that we can say our church affirmation together. It goes crazy if we're all talking at once. So if you will mute, I will say the church affirmation for us, and Lynn will give our benediction, and then we are done for the day. We totally accept the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. We know that as our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all the members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership to our spiritual community, and we are grateful. And then, Lynn, if you'll do our blessing, we may stick around for a few minutes if anyone wants to talk anymore, or you can be done after the blessing. Thank you. Have a lovely week.
Well, divine peace, love, and blessings be with you. Namaste.
Namaste.